Good evening. This is Rahul Magan here, is Group Chief Executive Officer, Treasury Consulting, and also a venture capitalist. As we speak, Treasury Consulting is a multinational headquartered group based out Singapore. We are a hedge fund who actively take positions in US, Europe, and Asia Pacific. But like I repeated many times, we are a prop fund. By prop, I mean no outsider can invest fund in our hedge fund. So we are a completely prop driven fund. Today I would be covering a very important thing which is known as the upcoming crisis in India. I need to change the heading also here. Today, two news came in the public. You know that I believe in research. I continue to track the news on the Google, and thanks to Google for providing the news on a real-time basis. Two news came on Google. Number one, Indian startups in 2022, and when I say Indian startups, I mean to say not more than 10 to 12, because there are thousands of Indian startups we have, and I do understand that it is not feasible for media to give the list of all startups in the public because data is always a constraint. I do agree that. So few selected startups till 2022 cut near about 10,800 jobs, which is precisely 11,000 jobs. Yesterday also, one startup in India cut around 190 people. And this is what I am warning since many years, and now this warning is turning out to be a reality. Now, as startups are cutting the job, one thing which is very clear, that the funding is getting dry. Now, since the funding is getting dry, the startups are feeling the heat because they have no money. They have lavish expenses, lavish offices, people, hundreds of people working for them, their salaries, their various expenses, transportation expenses, provident funds, and so many expenses they have. Now, the only resolution which these startups are finding is to cut the jobs. So today I would be covering two different startups in that regards. Number one is definitely the Unacademy. I hope you watched the recent concluded Indian Premier League IPL on the TV. I watched only two matches because of the time constraint. In both the matches, I saw that Unacademy is giving advertisement in the IPL. So I hope that IPL is not a free platform. Very recently, the digital rights in the IPL sold such a huge, around $6 billion. $6 billion for 5 years, which means near about $1.2 billion on an average basis per year. It means that if Unacademy is giving advertisement in the IPL, definitely it has some cost. We need to agree. Now, if it has some cost, it means that they are paying that cost to the IPL or BCCI, whatever the organization is. Ultimately, it is going to BCCI. But when it comes to organization, the same Unacademy is cutting the cost. So Unacademy in the part 1 cut 600 people. In the part 2, which they concluded around 2 to 3 days ago, they cut 150 people. When they did in the part 1, there were many apprehensions that it is not 600 people, it is more than 1,000 people. But I cannot claim that it is more than 1,000 people. The reason being, in the media, it is 600 people. Now in the media, the part second is 150 people, which means officially Unacademy cut 600 plus 150, total 750 people. And this is the EdTech platform. EdTech stands for Education Technologies. So to conclude that the hype is coming to an end. And this hype would very soon bring a very disastrous, I would say, catastrophic issue for India, which is known as the job crisis. The reason being, thousands of people working for different startups in India. And like I said, it is not feasible for the media to cover all startup in their report because data is always a constraint. In this regard, if the top startups are cutting jobs, not 1, 2, 10, 20, direct 600, 900, 1000, 150, 170, and now the Unacademy another 150. Common sense, the lower level startups or the lower level industry people, the restaurant people, the hotel people, and all these, they are also cutting the jobs. But common sense, their name will never come in the public because they are not being tracked by the media. And the government hardly maintains data in that regards, which is very clear. Because unemployment statistics is something you cannot rely. So very soon, India would be facing a big mess. Big mess, which is called job mess. Another scary news which came today is by a statement by a gentleman who said that 30 to 40% of the Indian unicorns, I repeat, 30 to 40% of the Indian unicorn would either scale down or shut down in next few years. And as we speak, India boasts of near about 102 unicorn. More than 100 unicorn, and 99.9%, except 1 or 2, 99.9% of these unicorns are in huge losses. And their auditors are Big Four. Guys, I'm telling you one thing. I don't know how come this person came with a figure of 30 to 40%. But sooner or later, these loss-making unicorns will enter in the Indian capital market. Like Meesho, who is a loss-making company who cut near about 150 people very recently, claims to be $1 billion valuation company, but in a huge losses. They recently made a statement that they are coming, basically they wanted to launch their IPO somewhere in 22 or 23. So a heavily loss-making company is launching the IPO. I am warning investor on two things. Number one, the job crisis in India would get severe as the time passes. That I am warning you right now. And this would have deep and detrimental impact on the financial market. If you are thinking this won't have any impact on the financial market, then you are mistaken. It do. Yeah, India is a country where things move in a lag way. Lag way means things move in a little different way. So something which is happening today, the impact would come after few weeks. Secondly, if these loss-making companies would allow to approve the IPO, which I'm sure they would, you know how the system works, then billions of dollars of investor capital would get raised. And what would be the end result? You are aware, whether this is Paytm, whether this is Zomato, whether this is Policy Bazaar, whether this is Nikia, whether this is Delivery, and the list is long. So these two things are bound to come in India very soon. As an investor, I am very clear on one thing, that myself is not going to be invest a single rupee in any loss-making company. So in the next few years, whatever to happen, I am not going to be investing a single rupee in a loss-making company. Even if they get approval for the IPO, which I'm sure they would get, just like Paytm, Zomato, Nikia, Policy Bazaar, and all these companies, myself is not going to be investing, because I know that in the next few years, at least the next couple of years, which is coming, would be very, very volatile for the whole world. The reason being, if you are thinking that inflation would resolve by merely hiking the rate, either this is Federal Reserve or this is European Central Bank or this is by Reserve Bank of India, then you are absolutely wrong. Guys, history is witness that inflation cannot be resolved in 1 year, or deflation cannot be resolved in 1 year. I know that because of political pressure, the top economists of the globe are silent, and especially the Indian economists are silent. But having said that, what I see right now in another 2 years in India. When I say India, India means the capital markets. So let me again correct myself, the capital markets. What I say in 2 years in India is that the loss-making companies will come in capital market. And they would be raising money, and we will see a substantial collapse of the system. As usual, no one is going to be blaming Reserve Bank or any other regulator. Bharat Pay crisis is now being hidden by the media. Check your Google. From the last 2 months, not a single news is coming about Bharat Pay in the media. And it is the same Bharat Pay where the financial irregularity news came in public. And the founder himself agreed that there is a financial irregularity. Rather, the investor in Bharat Pay agreed there was a financial irregularity. Irrespective of that, media hid this issue. No one questioned Reserve Bank of India why the banking license was given to a loss-making company. No one questioned that. And what our SBI last chairman is doing on the board of Bharat Pay, Mr. Rajneesh Kumar. You people really have no idea where you are heading. That I'm telling you. But I trying my best to educate people. Those who take it, take it. Those who do not take it, do not take it. It hardly matters now. This is Rahul Magan from Treasury Consulting Group. You knew my personal number 9899242978. Have a great time ahead. Do remember one thing, that media is completely compromised. Even if you are trusting, please go ahead and have trust.